South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grandview Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Here we go. Happy Monday, everybody. We have a lot to get to, a lot to recap from over the weekend, a really fun football weekend, and a lot to get to. We've got a Monday Night Football game on the board, the Saints and the Packers. We also have 2 bowl games today. One is currently going on, and UTSA just scored again. It is now 13-0. We've got a lot of hockey. We're going to talk about some college basketball, and looking ahead to the week. Tomorrow, we will definitely talk about the 2 NFL games on Christmas, but let's recap over the weekend. How was your weekend overall, and any takeaways for you?
Yeah, amazing to get 4 college football playoff games, and all 4 home teams won easily. They dominated in those games. I look back to kind of the NFL, and the first round kind of has always been dominated by home teams in the NFL. I don't know, home field advantage maybe worth a little bit more at that time. You got the better team, and they are playing at home. So guess the pressure doesn't get to them. They all dominated. They all played so well.
They did, and that is exactly where I wanted to start, too. We do have a nice graphic here, but taking a look, and you're right, the better seed, right, got to host the game. Texas with a dominant performance over Clemson. Ohio State, I think that might have actually been the most dominant over Tennessee. Penn State, SMU, Kevin Jennings, 3 turnovers in that game for him. And Notre Dame, Indiana, that one, Indiana lost by 10, but it was not as competitive as the final score.
It was amazing. Score. Kevin Jennings looked like the quarterback I watched against BYU early in the year. And he moved the ball between the 20s, and as soon as he got inside the red zone, he couldn't move the football whatsoever. And I think it was even worse, though, against Penn State. Penn State was, I think their defense was so dominating, and they just really crushed them early. And then he threw 2 pick sixes. So, 2 of the passes, they were just unadvised passes that he should have never even made, and he did. And every time I watched him throw the football, he wasn't even close. He did make a couple of nice passes later in the game, and that all comes down to experience. Again, he had never been in that big of a game, but he did play Clemson the week before that in a big game.
So what takeaways can we go moving forward? Well, we have to see, too, if they are going to make some adjustments next year for the playoffs, but I see people already talking about 12 teams was too many, and you can tell because maybe the last 4 shouldn't have been in there, and now we're down to the final 8. We'll see how these games go, but I mean, there's 2 teams that got a bye week from winning their conference championship that maybe shouldn't have been in this playoff either.
If they had 24 teams, 12 wouldn't look like it's too many then, because you'd weed out teams in the beginning. If you'd have let Alabama and Mississippi play in this, they would have crushed anybody they played, and then Ohio State could not have beaten up on Alabama like they beat up on Tennessee.
It would have been more competitive.
They would have been much more competitive. Penn State would have never beaten Alabama like they crushed SMU. So Alabama beats SMU. Now Penn State's got to play Alabama on a neutral, completely different game. We've got some decent games this week, but they're still not great because you got Boise State and Arizona State. And Alabama would be a 2-touchdown favorite over either one of those teams, and they're not in it. So you don't have the best teams in the playoffs.
So we'll see what they do moving forward, if they do make some adjustments there. But if they don't, next year we got to maybe give even a little bit more for that home field in that first round.
A little bit, yeah. There's got to be some type of advantage. But again, it's a small sample size.
Right.
It's only 4 games. Next year, if all 4 dogs win, straight up would be like, oh, wait a minute, what do we do now?
Right.
Do we not give home field advantage?
Right.
We just give the normal home field advantage, and you go from there. And again, next year it'll be a small sample size. But I think that the NCAA is looking to expand the college basketball tournament now from 68 to I don't know what the number was that I saw, 82 or something like that. I don't know what it was, 84, 78, something like that. When you do that, the better teams do end up moving on. There will be one Cinderella that does get to move on, but I think if you went to at least going to, what would the next number be? Well, 16 would be the next number. But I think this will end up getting to 24 teams.
And that's where FCS is?
That's where FCS is. When the FBS gets where the FCS is. And right now, the FCS has 2 of their best teams. I mean, their 2 best teams played against each other this weekend. Yeah. And one of them knocked the other one off. But I think they have it. I think they're doing it right. And that's where the NCAA will get to.
Couple takeaways from NFL before we get to the Monday night game here, but a tough loss for Tampa Bay. Now their playoff hopes did drop down to 50%, and Atlanta right now currently holds the tiebreaker, so they are winning that division. They just need to win outright. Any takeaways from Michael Penix Jr.? And it looked like it was a good move going to him with what we've seen from Kirk Cousins as of late.
Yeah, but I don't think he did a whole lot in the game. There was 2 pick sixes in that game that got the Falcons on the scoreboard. And at that point, when I looked at the stats, Michael Penix's stats weren't that good. He ended up 18 for 27, 202 yards. No touchdowns. He did throw 1 interception. He ran the ball 4 times for 3 yards. So, again, I didn't watch, but I know that, what I was reading and listening to with Cousins' arm strength not being what it used to be, Michael Penix has definitely got a stronger arm and can stretch the field, and that may help this offense out a little bit. But I'm glad they won because we have some future tickets on the Falcons to win the division. I
will say, though, that interception was not his fault. That was more on Kyle Pitts, and he did have a couple pretty nice throws that the wide receivers dropped. So his numbers, I don't think that's telling the full story. I think it was a pretty overall impressive game, but that could have been more against the team that they were playing.
What is impressive is he hadn't played for 16 weeks. So that is really impressive to be able to go out there to be ready. And they tell you that all the time as an athlete, be ready and be prepared for your time when it comes. But, playing in practice is not the same as playing in game speed in a regular season game. The defense is flying around much faster than you see against in practice. So I think that is pretty impressive that, what he did in a game for not playing as long as he has.
And a meaningful game. It wasn't just we're already eliminated. Let's see what we have from you. It was, a really big game. And now moving forward, they have Washington. They're going to Washington.
We're going to you because we want to make the playoffs.
Right.
And we have a shot to make the playoffs, and we don't think we can make it with Kirk Cousins. So we're putting the pressure on your shoulders. So, I guess that's even more of an impressive performance.
Very impressive performance from the Commanders coming back to beat the Eagles in that one. We do need to keep track and see what's happening with Jalen Hurts. He was concussed and did not finish that game. But overall, very good weekend. We move forward to week 17 in the NFL. Just 2 more. Well, we do have 1 more tonight that we're going to talk about right now. But we're coming to the end here in football season. So let's get to this.
2 games back. And that's, got to look at the standings to make sure. And that was a tough loss for the Eagles because now they're 1 game behind Detroit for that bye. And it's such a big bye now that there's 7 teams and only 1 team gets a bye. That's a big game.
Impressive Lions. Again, another win, even with those defensive injuries. So curious to see where your adjustments are tomorrow.
They've gotten a couple guys back, so they're getting a little healthier.
Let's talk about tonight's game. Saints and Packers. We will have Spencer Rattler getting the start for New Orleans. Packers are a 14-point favorite at home and the total 43. My first question to you is this a little bit of an overreaction? Because the last time we saw the Packers, it was a very impressive win. They went to Seattle and won 30-13. I think this line has moved a little bit too far, getting 2 touchdowns now with the Saints, who have been playing competitive with whichever quarterback they have had come in after Derek Carr. So where are your numbers? Is this enough to take the points here with the Saints?
No, I don't think so. They're eliminated. Obviously, it's a standalone game. They're going to try hard and play hard. And I do like Spencer Rattler. But Green Bay's a better football team, and they've shown that. And they have not clinched a playoff spot yet. So a lot of motivation at home. Going to be very, very cold there. Green Bay, very good team. So I only made it 12.5, but I can see higher. I couldn't go lower on that. And then my total's right there at 45.
Jeff did tell us on Sports by the Book yesterday morning that the quarterbacks decided that they're having all their meetings in their freezer room or.
Oh, for New Orleans?
Yes, for New Orleans, so they can try and prep for going to Green Bay. But
you got to do anything you can to thicken your blood up. I don't know if you could do it that fast in a week.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm glad Spencer Rattler did well in his last game, that he came off the bench. Jake Haener. We had Rattler rated higher than Haener and thought he was the better quarterback, and didn't look at the first couple of starts, but he did in the last start. Jake Haener really struggled. But both quarterbacks, still their stats, both are around 58% passing, and both are less than 6 yards a pass.
Yep. And
both are even, you combine the two guys, their numbers are looking the same compared to Jordan Love, who's putting up above average stats and putting up great numbers. And they're playing well. They did lose their last game to Detroit. They put it all out there. Maybe I don't even have the game, the following game. I've got 12-5. I know they played a game after that.
Yeah, they played
cut off
in Seattle. That's the last one, that's who you're talking about, right?
Was Seattle, yeah.
You're talking about the Packers? Well, and Jordan Love, it is impressive if you have his numbers right there. So there was a streak where he was throwing a pick, at least one in every game, and now he has gone 4 straight without. So now that he is getting healthier, we're starting to see their offense come alive.
Yeah, he's at 64%, 8.3 yards a pass, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, what I had. And they made a really good pickup when they brought in Malik Willis as his backup. That was a very smart move by Green Bay.
Yes.
And, yeah, I'm looking at your numbers. You're right. The last 4 games, no picks, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. And, again, his yards per pass are almost about 9 yards per pass over that time. And he's completing high 60s percentage of his passes. So, yeah, he's been very, very good. Total
sitting at 43. Anything you can do with that?
Yeah, at 45, I think it's, I don't have a lot of difference in the total, but I don't really think a lot of the Saints defense and Green Bay could put up a big number in this game. But I think Rattler or Haener will put up some points too. They'll move the football. And if anything, I would lean to the over. There's no wind tonight. It's just going to be very, very cold. So that's about it. Kind of like this Texas-San Antonio game. I think if you see Green Bay get out early, it could be over, and they just take the hearts out of the Saints, and the Saints they'll be ready to go back to New Orleans and get out of the cold. We'll see.
San Antonio up 14-0 over Coastal Carolina in that bowl game, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Let's go to the Potato Bowl and see if you have any thoughts on this game with Northern Illinois and Fresno State. Northern Illinois is a 3-point favorite, and the total 41. I know it is tough with the transfer portal and keeping up and just making sure that your numbers are accurate. But
yeah, that Coastal Carolina game, when I found out this morning that their top two quarterbacks were both leaving the program and they were playing horrible football the last end of the year. And Texas San Antonio was playing their best football, and now it is 21-0. They're way out in front in this football game. So Northern Illinois, I have to tell you what my number was going in and then look to see if there was any changes. I have Fresno 1.5 and 42.5, but I think that total's a little too high because both these teams have really struggled offensively, especially on the road. Northern Illinois, I tell you this, their median score in their top 5 road games, 20-17. They lose 20-17. Fresno State loses 30-15.5. So they've given up a little bit on the road, but they have not been able to score. And so both teams' offense is well below average in this football game tonight.
I'm trying to see, too, I believe. Okay, so yeah, Mikey Keene, starting quarterback for Fresno, is in the portal. I do not know if he is opting out, though.
Well, if he's in the portal, he's definitely not playing.
Okay. Yep, you're right. So it will be Joshua Wood and Jaden Mindell between those two. So yeah, I would have making adjustments on my numbers for those quarterbacks being out. I would make this much, much lower. I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. Total open 42 and was bet down to 40.5. So would like that under. And now you can get 41 here at the South Point.
Is it up to 41?
Yes.
Okay.
41 here. So a little bit of a lean to the under in that one, both starting quarterbacks in the portal. So I do like that angle as well. I know you have some college basketball for us and some numbers there, so let's go ahead and switch over to that. Again, we will not be on the air on Wednesday, Christmas Day. So tomorrow, Christmas Eve, we will be covering all of the action for Tuesday, and we will also be looking ahead to Wednesday. So just look out for that. And then as well, Football Frenzy today, 3 p.m. Don't forget, Sports by the Book. We have 2 shows for you. So they will break down that Monday Night Football game with props and even more great information. Going ahead, moving on to college basketball. Let's take a look at some of these numbers. Middle Tennessee State and Tennessee. Right now, Tennessee's a 26.5-point favorite. Total is 142.
Yeah, a big game for Middle Tennessee, and anytime they play Tennessee, obviously, in state. Both coaches have been there for a while. Rick Barnes in his 10th year at Tennessee. Nick McDermott, 7th year with Middle Tennessee State. And I think he's done a good job with this team. Both teams have been spread covers. Middle Tennessee 7-2 ATS. Tennessee 9-2. Both teams play with a little bit of pace. They will run up and down the court. I only made the total 144, though. It's right there with what I made it. And I made the side 25.5. So that's right there. With both teams playing at pace and Tennessee such a good offensive team, I could see this as an over, but I worry about Tennessee's defense is so good. Number 1 in the country I have them right now defensively.
It is impressive to see these programs just turn over after losing so many guys that go into the league and still remain this good. Tennessee is definitely one of them. Dalton
Knecht is one of those guys that played at Tennessee, and what a great year he had.
Yes.
So, and he's starting for the Lakers now, just coming out of college. So amazing.
Let's go North Dakota State. They're 10.5 at home against CS Bakersfield. Total 140.
Yeah, I could see that game moving up. I made it 11. After looking it over, amazing. Rod Barnes, I don't know how he's still coaching. I have no idea. 13 years. This is his 14th year at Bakersfield. He's had 2 good teams in 14 years. He had no good teams at Georgia State. He was there 4 years, didn't win 1 year. And then he was at Mississippi before that for 7 years, and he couldn't win in Mississippi. So he's been coaching over 30 years, and he's had 2 good ones. He must have had a couple good players on those teams. But I would be afraid of this game that North Dakota State could run them out of the gym. They shoot threes extremely well. They shoot a lot of them. Both teams play slow offensively, but Bakersfield is a terrible offensive team going up against a team who shoots threes the best in the country.
North Dakota State, do you have their record at home so far this year?
I don't have their home record, but 7-4 overall. They're 8-3 ATS. Okay. Bakersfield 4-7 ATS. So Probably going to have to make a couple of adjustments on them Bakersfield after just looking at numbers this morning. I just think I have Bakersfield a little overrated. They don't play defense, and they're a terrible offensive team. So North Dakota State, like I said, much, much better basketball team.
A lean to the favorite in that one. Let's go Seattle and Washington. Washington 12.5 and the total 143.
Yeah, I made this total a lot higher at 158, and both teams have played overs the last 3 games. A lot more high scoring from both teams. Washington has shown that they'll run a little bit. Both teams, average offenses. Nothing great, nothing to write home about. The best department of any of these teams is Washington's defense. So that's the only thing that scares me. But I think the pace will be there. Again, though, Seattle and Washington, in proximity, very, very close. It's more of a rivalry for Seattle than it is Washington. But with a big spread like this, I only made it 10.5. It's been bet up to 12.5. I'm don't have enough value to bet the dog, but I would lean to the dog. Their coach Victor's been there. This is his 4th year now, but they've struggled too. They're 3-7 ATS, but we've made those adjustments to get there. Again, I'll just trust my number on it and bet it over.
Going over in the Seattle-Washington game. Let's go to this tournament that we have with these 8 teams, starting with Loyola Chicago, 2-point favorite over College of Charleston, total 146.5.
Both teams lost yesterday, and Loyola was a surprising loss because they've been playing great basketball. They were 8-1 coming in, and they lost a 1-point game to Oakland, which was a shock to me. Charleston on the year 6-3. They're 6-3 ATS. Chris Max, the new head coach there, his first year at College of Charleston. He was at Butler, and he was the one coach that didn't succeed at Butler. Most of them have done well, but Chris Mack didn't. Both these teams run. They get up and down, but offensively, they're both about average. Loyola's defense is still very, very good. Solid defensive team. But my numbers are right there. Couldn't really give you a bet on this game. I made Loyola 3 and 144.
Let's go to Oakland and Oregon State. Oregon State 9.5, total 131. Is there any trends you can see with these tournaments with totals if they're going over or under?
Well, sometimes it's tight rims, tight nets, or the shooting. The sight lines, the depth perception for players. So, but this is in a gym that they play this tournament every year.
Yeah.
And this is where University of Hawaii plays. So there's never anything that really stops scoring here. The only thing is, are they on vacation or are they on a business trip?
Right.
Most of these teams, you have to try to figure that out. Oregon State and Oakland both won yesterday. Oregon State beat College of Charleston. And they're having a really good year, 9-0 ATS.
Wow.
So kind of surprised that the number went down, that there was money for Oakland. They may have just felt that this was too high of a number. I guess there is some credit to Greg Camp. 40 years at Oakland. 40 years he's been there. He's had a couple of really good teams, but this is not one of his best teams. And he's a coach that has played up-tempo most of his career. This year, they're one of the slowest teams in the country. And their offense is terrible. Just can't shoot the basketball. And Oregon State's defense is very, very good. So I made Oregon State 13.5. I think they could probably run them out of the gym. This game's down to 9.5. That is the one play I like today. I do like Oregon State a lot.
Okay, Oregon State in that one. Nebraska and Hawaii. Nebraska 8.5, and the total is 142.
I'm in at 9.5 and 135. So lean to the under. A bet for the under, 8.5 point difference.
Yeah.
Nebraska is 6-3 under this year. They have played at a high pace, though. They're really running. This is Fred Hoiberg. But their defense is far better than their offense. They're playing top 40 defense in Nebraska. So that helps the under. And Hawaii has struggled a little bit offensively, and they've played at a little slower pace. And their defense has held opponents to a little longer in the shot clock as well. So I'll go under in that game. Big game for both teams. They both won yesterday, trying to get to the championship game.
A little bit of their issue, Hawaii, is the turnovers, but that doesn't necessarily mean points.
That's good. Yeah, right.
Could be a blowout for Hawaii. Okay, for Nebraska. Let's go Murray State and Charlotte. Looking at this one here at the South Point, Murray State 6.5 and the total 139.
I'm in at 4 and 127, and this is a meaningless game now with both teams losing yesterday. Looking at the numbers, I really don't see much to say that this should be an under. They both play slower than normal. This Steve Promm at Murray State, second time around there. He's normally an up-tempo coach, but maybe just doesn't have the players to do it. My cross-reference score from points scored and points allowed comes out to 143. So that's not a good sign for the under. And then also, what would my efficiency be? Charlotte plays slow and does not score, but still their defenses are both below average. That comes out pretty close to the total. So I'll pass on that game. I just don't have enough value there for me to go under in that game. I'll pass.
Meaningless game as well, right? So we might not see their defense as much.
Yeah, the more after losing yesterday and not having a chance to win the championship there. I don't think you'll see a letdown from either team because I don't think either team expected to maybe win that. They were probably ready to win 2 out of 3, but both teams will want to win this game, that's for sure. I could lean to Charlotte a little bit. I made the game 4. I don't know if that changed. There are some 6.5s in the market.
Yeah.
So I don't see a big difference between the two. I guess I do. I do have Murray State better offensively and defensively.
Recap in college basketball today. What was your best play?
Oregon State minus 9.5. Against Oakland, and then Seattle and Washington over 144.
And then Nebraska, Hawaii, was that lean?
That'd be an under. I like that.
Under.
I like that game under. That's another good play. I like that. So 3 plays from me there.
3 college basketball plays. Good. Well, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we are going to get to some hockey. And then later in the show, the last 15 minutes, we do have a very special guest in studio. So that'll be a lot of fun here on Sports by the Book. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports by the Book. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White. Thanks for being here with us. I am going to check in with the chat shortly after we go through some hockey numbers and see if we can find some plays in that sport. There is a few that already jumped out. And then once we get done with hockey, we'll take one more quick break and then bring in our guest for the day. All right, let's get right to it. Rangers and Devils. The Devils have been playing really good hockey. They have held each of their last 6 opponents to 20 or fewer shots on goal. We have not seen this since 2002 with the Boston Bruins. So now we have the Rangers, who are struggling, and the Devils. And that is why you see minus 230 for the home team.
That's amazing. I never would think that the Devils would ever be that big of a favorite over the Rangers.
Right.
Jonathan Quick, I have in goal tonight versus Markstrom. Both these teams really going under, Alex. I'll let you break that down a little bit more, but let me give you the openers. South Point open $1.90 on the Devils, bet up to 230. The total 6 over 20 is now 6 over 15.
Well, the Devils do have a 9-game under streak going and 6 at home. Rangers on the road, 5 straight unders for them. The Devils, as I just talked about, holding their opponents shots on goal. They're also second right now in goals against, holding opponents to 2.53. So I don't think there's I know Shesterkin is one of the best goalies, but I think Jonathan Quick is playing very good as well. I don't think there should be a drop off there for the total. So under 6 in this one.
You know, we had talked about this game, a couple weeks ago, that the Rangers won all 4 games last year during the regular season, and it was such a big game for the Devils. But we still bet the Rangers because we made the adjustment on the revenge factor. We still showed value for the Rangers, but the Devils beat them up pretty good. So now we've got revenge for the Rangers coming back into New Jersey. So, all right, you got under there.
I'm going under.
Winnipeg at Toronto. This game, Toronto Maple Leafs opened up $1.15, bet down to $1.10 here at the South Point, and 6 under.
Definitely 2 playoff teams here in this one. I did make the Maple Leafs a little bit higher, minus 143, so kind of a lean there. But both teams are playing good hockey. And Winnipeg went on a little bit of a drop after their hot streak to start the season, but they are back in good form. Connor Hellebuck and Joseph Wall both played very good. So I would look more to the total again here, 6 under, minus 120. I did make it 5.5 under.
2 early games. Both the Devils game starts at 10:07 and Toronto 11:07. So Montreal is at Columbus, and Columbus opened $1.30 favorite here at the South Point, up to $1.35, 6.5 under 15.
So the Canadians are playing tough. They have won now 3 in a row coming into this game against Columbus. Looking at the total, though, 6.5. I made it 7. So, yeah, either play on the Canadians or over in this one.
Backup goalie Jet Greaves will be going for Columbus. And I know they were on a really good over streak, the Blue Jackets were. So, yeah, you look like you have value there to the over. Washington at Boston. Boston opened 125. They haven't moved, and 6 under 15. Though money for the under, though, total now 5.5 over 15.
Bruins, I made minus 122. 2 good teams. Boston is starting to play better. They have won 4 now at home, especially at home. So Charlie Lindgren and Jeremy Swayman, 2 really good goalies. I understand that move to the under. Nothing we can do now, though.
Yeah. Boston won the 4 in a row at home, straight 4 in a row home games and under. And then Washington has gone under 3 in a row on the road, 4 in a row overall. St. Louis at Detroit. South Point opens Detroit $1.15, has not moved, 5.5 over 20, no movement on the total.
Kind of a losing streak for both of these teams. St. Louis has lost 3 in a row and 3 road games as well. And now the Red Wings come in on a 2-game losing streak. So I do have the home team a little bit more here, but nothing to jump in on for this one.
Even after the coaching change for St. Louis, we still haven't seen an upgrade for them. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Big rivalry, Keystone State rivalry. Pittsburgh opened $1.20, no movement, 6.5 under 15, now 6.5 under 20.
First time we are seeing this matchup this year. Pittsburgh did win last year, pretty dominating or high scoring, 7-6. So I do lean to the Penguins here in this one. I made a minus 131. Not a big enough difference though. Lean to the over, have it 6.5.
Another rivalry game, Tampa and Florida. At the Panthers open $1.50, no movement, 6.5 the total.
So Florida has won their last 4 home games. They are playing really good hockey right now. It is a lean to the dog here, though, taking that plus money. I made Florida minus 129 at home.
Not a lot of value there, though. You have more value on your total.
There is value on the over here in this one. I did make it 7 over, minus 130.
And Jonas Johansson's supposed to be in goal tonight for Tampa instead of Vasilevsky. So surprising for the tournament, for a big game.
Well, and looking at the Panthers' numbers, so they're tied 4th right now in goals for, 3.53 per game. But goals against, they're tied for 22nd. And that's getting better because they're starting to play better defense here. But, I mean, the Lightning, number 1 in goals for, averaging 4 a game. So, yeah, I do like that over a lot.
Okay. We know the Panthers can score too. 2 really good offenses. Sabres on a 13-game losing streak head to the island to play the Islanders. New York, $1.45 up to $1.50, 5.5 over.
That's right where I have it. Minus 150. If we add in for the streak, that would make the Islanders an even bigger favorite in this one.
Favorite.
Yep. But
if you're betting against the streaks, you would be betting the Islanders no matter what. You've won 10 straight bets going against Buffalo on that losing streak.
The Islanders did win the first one 3-0 on November 30th, but I don't know if we can try and jump in front of this losing streak.
Here's the biggest line movement. Oh, I don't think you want to jump in on them right now, the way they're playing. The biggest line movement on the day today in hockey, Minnesota opened 270 here at the South Point, down to 220, and the total 5.5 over 15.
Minnesota has been struggling. Do we have their losing streak? Yes, they've lost 4 in a row, 3 at home. So without Gustafsson, they've been struggling. Marc-Andre Fleury will be starting
against one of his old teams. Movement. He did play for the Blackhawks. He was traded from the Vegas Golden Knights to Chicago, and then on to Minnesota. So, and I think Peter Mrazek was also. They know he was with Detroit. Don't think he was with Minnesota though. Kind of seemed like he was, but yeah, both teams not playing well. Your numbers are really pretty much right there on that game.
Well, if only Chicago was hosting, because they have been playing better at home, but they have lost their last 3 road games. So not enough to jump in there.
Carolina at Nashville. In this game, South Point opened Carolina on the road $1.40. Money for Nashville. Again, money's for Nashville every game. Down to $1.20. The total 6 under 15.
I will say we have seen Nashville start to play better. They're playing more competitive, have gotten a few wins here. Marchessault has been doing really good for them as well. Nothing for me in this one. I have Carolina minus 115 and the total 6 right where it is.
Carolina's gone under 6 straight games.
Wow.
They're going with their second string goalie tonight, Dustin Tokarski. San Jose at Vancouver. This game opened 250, has not moved, 6 under 15.
I have the Canucks minus 236, total 6.5 in this one. Let's check their streaks, check their numbers. And both of them, so Sharks 24th in goals for, 2.72, but 27th in goals allowed. And then the Canucks are tied at 13 for goals for, and they are tied for 22nd in goals allowed, 3.12. So, yeah, it is a lean to the over, and those numbers do support it.
Both on a losing streak. San Jose 4 in a row, Vancouver 3 in a row. Dallas at Utah tonight. Dallas opened $1.50 on the road, no movement,
Wow.
6 over 15 up to 6 over a quarter.
This is a play on the home team here at plus 130. I have the Stars minus 107. Total right there at 6 under, 2 good goalies. And Dallas does have a nice little 3 in a row on the road going under. What do you think? Can we take that plus 130 with the Utah Hockey Club?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, if your numbers say so. It's about a 23-cent difference. Can you find $1? You can find a little bit more than that, maybe $1.35 in the market.
They are 5-5 in their last 10, but the Stars 7-1-2 coming off of a loss themselves. But it's at home that worries me too, because Utah has been better on the road. They're 6-8. Oh no, that is Dallas actually. Dallas on the road is 6-8. Utah 5-4. So. I think that works out too.
A little value there with the home dog. Anaheim is playing here in Vegas tonight against the Golden Knights. Knights open 330. Little money for Anaheim, down to 320. Total 6 over, now 6.5 under 15, so over money.
Wow. I have the Knights minus 293, so nothing. That's pretty much right there. But I do have the total sitting at 6 flat. Let's take a look at these numbers, especially because, Vegas can score. They are 6 right now in goals for, 3.52 per game. But they're tied for 11th in goals against, 2.85. Aiden Hill gets the start. John Gibson, good goalie. I don't really understand that over move.
Well, your number's right on there at 6. So up to you. I'll leave that up to you if you want to bet that under tonight, Vegas and Anaheim.
Well, I will be in the building for that one, so I'm not going to bet an under going
got
to
your
the
Golden
game.
Knights jersey on.
But, okay, so we got through all of our football. We got through college basketball, hockey. We're going to take a quick break here on Sports by the Book. I'll check in with the chat, and then we will bring in our guest. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in 1 minute.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, You can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Hotel and Casino. Thank you, everybody in the chat. It's good to see all of our regulars. We've got Vince Dean Hilt, Agent 87, Jerry, Frank, hello. I will see you at noon. I will be on Punchlines with Frank Nicotero, Damon, and Nick Sansone, who did just let us know that the Panthers just beat the Lightning 4-2 yesterday in Tampa. So some revenge there in that spot. Well, it's back-to-back. I don't know how much we're given for revenge right now, regular season. All right, well, let's bring our guest in. I'm Alex White, third generation handicapper. He's Kenny White, professional sports bettor, second generation. And here we have my grandfather and your dad, Pete White. Thank you for being on our show again. We love having you on here with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the few minutes here. You guys do a great job. You have a lot of stats, boy. It's amazing. It's good.
We're going to talk about some football stuff and current stuff, but I am just curious, and you can tell our viewers that find this very fascinating and interesting. When did you start, and how did you get into the sports betting?
Well, if you want to really know the truth, I left New Jersey in '68 because I owed money to the mob in New Jersey, and I the only place I felt to come was Las Vegas because I used to bet on horses.
Oh.
Never bet on sports. But when I got to town, I saw sports betting was real big. And I decided to start working on sports. And in betting horses, you have the racing form, which has all the information you want. Uh-huh. Well, sports never had anything, so I made my own up. And I saw right away that there was a huge advantage by rating players and learning how good each team was. And I just kept betting sports for that's 50-some years, 1968.
You told me your first sport you ever rated was the NHL as a kid. You did some stats and numbers.
We're talking about, but I wasn't rating for betting.
Yeah, no.
When I was a kid, was in a strict family, so I had to be all by myself to do stuff. So I just started rating hockey players.
Yeah.
There was the six teams in the hockey, and I learned how to.
Oh, there was only 6 then.
The original 6.
Maybe it was 8.
Yeah,
I
8,
forget. I
yeah.
think there was 6. I can't remember. But it doesn't make any difference. I just learned how to look at the players at that time. But that didn't help me for all the years. I was a horse bettor for so many years, and then I finally realized after I was broke for 20 years that you can't beat horses. Unless you got the right information,
Yeah, that's pretty big takeout. But then, I don't know if you remember, but it was every summer you'd give me $1 to go to 7-Eleven, and I'd walk down to 7-Eleven and get 9 packs of baseball cards and 1 Slurpee for over $1. But then it was like, I think it was in August, and they had NFL football cards, and I brought those home, and I opened it up, and I was like, oh, what's this? And it was a card that said defensive end,
right?
And all the prerequisites for and you said, "Here's a 20. Go get all the packs they have."
That was
because I need every position.
That was history.
Yeah,
because studying in sports, I knew that I had to do a lot of work, so I was reading every newspaper I could. In the Washington, not Commanders, what were they? Redskins.
Yeah.
Coach put in the Washington paper what it takes to play every position. And I was starting to learn how to rate the players because of that.
Yeah.
But then you brought that card home, and I knew that was another factor. And then, believe it or not, the Seattle, Washington college coach did almost the same thing. So I took all those 3 factors together to learn what each position. By not playing, I played that sport a very little bit, but so I didn't know that much about it. But I learned an awful lot from all that.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Pretty incredible, because now power ratings are used by a lot of people. A lot of people have their own power ratings, and
Right.
and you came up with player power ratings,
Right.
and kind of started.
Well, the
this.
player power rating takes you into a team power rating.
Right.
It's a longer way to get there, but you get there maybe in a better position sometimes.
You were also able to determine 50 years ago the value of the quarterback,
Right.
of how much more he was valued to a regular player,
Yeah.
which is quite amazing. I mean, you don't think you've changed it. It's like baseball made the bases 90 feet 150 years ago, and it's never changed. Your quarterback ratings compared to your player ratings have really never changed over that time either.
No, but I had trouble a lot of years, and I remember calling my best friend in Florida who ran the fantasy stuff in football, and he kept telling me that the quarterbacks aren't that important, halfbacks are, so I didn't learn anything from him. But I always knew quarterbacks were far more important than any other position. But for years, everybody thought it was halfbacks,
Yeah, the running back was so important. And now you see with the very few running backs that even get drafted in the first round, it's all quarterbacks and wide receivers.
Well, yeah, definitely. But it has to be, because the quarterback's the most important person on the whole field.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at all the NFL, all the injuries at halfbacks. What happens the next game? Another guy comes in, big, oh, look at that. He ran for 100 yards.
Yeah.
Same thing with wide receivers. As long as they have the speed, you're going to be okay. It's the quarterbacks that's the most important. And the accuracy and the quickness of your passes is the most important. That's why they time how long it takes the quarterback to throw the ball and set up and stuff. You need a quick setup, and that's why quarterback is so more important than anybody. I mean, wow, it's just evident.
That is really funny, and I'm not surprised at all from the fantasy side that it was halfbacks, and still to this day.
It was.
Yeah.
It was halfbacks. In the 80s, it was
Right.
really strong. 90s, even into early 2000s, it was still in fantasy football because it was a different scoring, though. If you talk to a fantasy football, they got points for rushing yards and touchdowns. Receivers only got points for receiving yards. And now it's changed to receivers actually get points for receptions, too.
Right.
And the league has changed. 20 years ago, it was 60% run.
Right.
Now it's only 44% run.
Right, the league changed a lot.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid, the only quarterback that could do that was Joe Namath. That's why he won the Super Bowl.
Could do what? Run?
Pass downfield.
Pass downfield.
They weren't as good. There was some quarterbacks that did, but they used the run. Most every team used the run way more than he did.
Yeah.
It's the spread offenses that came into effect 20-some years ago that started using the quarterbacks more.
Yeah.
And that was smart. They should have did that way back in the 70s,
Well, there was some running back quarterbacks. I mean, not a lot. Not a lot.
Back in the pros, San Diego was an offensive team way back years ago.
But it was a running quarterback. That was Dan Fouts, and he just threw the ball. But Chicago had Bobby Douglas,
right.
who was a left-handed quarterback, and he was a running quarterback.
You're good. You got a great memory there. That's pretty good.
Very, very long ago. And now that you see more and more guys. But they didn't want you to run in the NFL because everybody was so big and strong, you were going to get hurt. And it's amazing how big the players have gotten. And us doing ours, we've had to raise our heights and weights up higher and higher.
Right.
When the refrigerator Perry was on the Bears in 86, he was only one of three players that weighed over 300 pounds in the entire NFL. One of three. It was only three guys in the NFL that weighed over 300. Now there's over 280 guys in the NFL over 300
bigger
pounds.
And stronger everybody has gotten in the world. Better food, better nutrition. So,
But they know all that.
Yeah.
I am curious how you're handling the bowl season now with the transfer portal, especially with your player power ratings and keeping track with everyone.
It was pretty difficult, but I went online, and Covers has got a good spot online.
Yeah.
He's got each bowl game and listed coming down, and it tells you every single player that's in the portal. You don't have to look for yourself, As I was keeping track, whenever I found out a player had left, but there's so many hundreds of them have left. But Covers has got a really good spot there. I thought it was terrific. It did me really well. I know those quarterbacks were out for the team Kenny was talking about today because it covers.
Nice. And I know Action Network has a good one too. I'll have to check out the covers though. But then you just go and you make your adjustments and you
Yeah, sometimes there's not much adjustments because they put every single player that's out. And some of them are in a portal because they're the third or fourth string on a team and they didn't really get to play. So naturally they're going to transfer, But some of them are the better players who are going to go to the NFL and they're not going to play anymore. That started a few years ago.
What do you think of the 12-team playoff now for FBS?
Well, I think it's great. We're talking about leaving out Alabama and stuff. I thought it was stupid, but I think it's fantastic.
I think it'll get better too.
Yeah,
it'll get better. But you have had a very good run in the FCS.
Well, the best teams are far superior over the other teams, just like happened yesterday in the 12 playoffs, the 12-team playoffs. The best teams won.
Yeah.
I found out over the years when you get to playing mediocre teams and you put a lot of money on them, they're not as consistent as putting money on the better teams when they're playing well and they need to play and they need to win the game.
Yeah.
It's far better to bet 500 on that game and then bet only 100 or 200 on the weaker teams.
We talk about that often with if you have two bad teams playing each other, don't lay points with the bad team, even though they are the better of the two.
I had a really bad streak this year on the FCS football, and they were all the weaker teams because they're really inconsistent. Mm-hmm. 1 week, really one of the worst teams in the league could beat one of the medium teams bad. You think they're improved. The next week they play a good team and they get beat 48-0.
But, not even close.
But now because of their 24-team playoff, we've actually gotten the best teams down at the end, and the last few weeks and weekends have been a lot better.
Yeah, I think they did a good job going to 12. They should have did it a long time ago, but that's great for the sport, That's why they're going to keep increasing it all the time because they see the value in people watching and stuff. And they did leave. It's funny because when people say you have 4 teams, you leave out a lot of good teams. Yeah. Now they go to 12. Oh, well, you left out good teams here. So now they go.
But they're saying now 12's too many because the 4 teams got blown out this weekend.
Oh, so people are saying that?
Yeah, that 12's too many. That there should have only been 8. Which, if they had 24, then you wouldn't have had that this round. Right. You would have had it when there was 24 teams. You would have maybe had some blowouts in the beginning.
Well, 1 out of every 4 games in sports is a proof. Yeah. Everybody should remember that.
Yeah.
If you have a side that you think is going to win really big and they get destroyed, that doesn't mean you were wrong. It's just something happens in the game where it doesn't work out for you. There's plenty of really pretty good teams in football that didn't get a chance to play. But they probably wouldn't be able to beat a really good teams, because football is a long game. It takes a long time to play, 4 quarters. There's a lot of plays in it.
Yeah. And teams quit, too. They play hard for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
That's a problem we've had in college football for a lot of years, that on the underdog, and we're in the game, and then all of a sudden they make stupid decisions on dumb plays because now they're taking chances.
Team, it takes over. Right?
Yeah.
Well, with the 8 teams left, do you have one that you really like, especially after this past week or after the past weekend of those 4 games? Was one really?
Well, I think Notre Dame's going to win it all because the Georgia quarterback's out.
So they have the easiest
other quarterback's
path.
Real good, though. I shouldn't knock that too much. But Notre Dame's playing really well. I think it's really tough.
Yeah.
I had them all close at the end,
Yeah.
You had a 5-point difference on the quarterback at Georgia, but the second string guy played well in his spot that he had to. I mean, being called in the second half, so maybe he's a little bit better than that. So maybe it's a 4-point drop off.
Yeah, right. Probably, maybe even a little less sometimes. But usually when he gets down to the end of the year, I don't have many plays because all the best teams I got all equal now. Right. They've been making a line for all these weeks, so they have a good line usually. It was just lately they didn't have such a good lines on these games on this last weekend because they thought the dogs were going to do better than they did, I guess.
Well, and one thing you taught me long ago, you bet all your plays. The play's a play. The bigger the difference, sometimes you bet more. But I'll go to this, the first round of the playoffs in the FCS, I looked at your numbers and looked at the numbers and thought, oh my gosh, there's really no plays. But there were actually, we bet 7 of them and won all 7.
Right.
We had 2 other plays that were 2 points off and
Right.
just missed being a play, and they both won. Could have been 9-0,
Right.
and it didn't look like much was there, but a treasure chest was there, going 9-0.
Yeah, we were pretty lucky. Things just fell right. Last
Yeah.
weekend was really good too. But
Yeah, I think you're on like a 14 or 15-0 run on
the only
FCS.
the only team they had rating bad was Montana State. They're better than they thought. You knew that. You knew that weeks ago.
Yeah,
You kept telling me at Montana State,
was a good team.
and they played a great game the other day. That's a good sport. It's a minor leagues, but it's
Yeah.
right there. Those teams are comparable to maybe a top 20 team in the FBS.
Yes, South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Montana State
Yeah, they could be in the top 20.
those teams could give.
That's impressive.
Those teams could probably give Boise State and Arizona State a really good game.
Positively.
Yeah.
Yeah, positively.
How about women's college basketball?
Women's college basketball.
Is that too much work?
Somebody put me onto that. And I think that's a great sport too, because the women try hard all the time, most
Yeah.
every single game, and they don't. I don't know. I think it's a great sport to bet on. It's a good sport to watch.
You got 3 days off too now.
Yeah, that's really good because they got to catch up on ratings, because when you bet a team and they don't even get the lead once in a game and you're laying 23 points, you're not doing too good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Duke. That's Duke that got
Duke.
upset.
Yeah, I saw the first score was like 23-6. I'm going, wow. I'm laying 23 points and I'm losing 23-6.
I think
and
really
the final score come a little closer, but Duke never got a lead in the whole game.
No. They got upset.
All right.
I am really excited now looking at the WNBA next year.
Yeah.
Because you'll have very sharp numbers on all
What
these
about
players.
the other one? There's a 3-on-3 women's league.
Yes,
in
yeah.
Yeah,
January.
the 3-on-3 women's league. All that kind of sports, if you could study it and learn how good the players are, you should be able to beat it. It was that same thing with the old men and the pros a couple of years ago.
The big 3.
Yeah.
Big 3.
I never
that
got
was
into
a pretty
I-
easy sport to beat.
Yeah, I never
All you
got
had
into
to know
that.
is how good each player was and to see their conditions, because you could watch the games on TV and who could shoot the threes and who could rebound. It just takes a lot of work, but if you have the time to study it and do it, you could beat these sports. I mean, not consistently. Everybody's going to have ups and downs. I don't care who they are. I had so many ups and downs. It's ridiculous,
I had loved doing the basketball tournament, the TBT, 64 teams, just like the NCAA, and it's for $1 million to the winner. And you always said that. You always said that when I was a kid growing up, that if both teams they knew they were playing for $1 million, you'd get both teams' best effort. And there was so many games where motivation is such a big thing betting sports, but that's why I love the TBT.
Yeah, that's another thing to bet on. If you got the information, you could accumulate.
The most fun thing about, I think, doing the player power ratings is when you rate the players out and you come up with your own starting lineup, and you don't know what it's going to be.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you look in the first game in the box score and your lineup was the same as their lineup.
Same. Yeah, that happens most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time it does. So you know the ratings are right. And then when you make a team 20 and you're laying 6.5 and they win by 20, you're even more validated that the ratings work. The other good league that I like doing is the NBA Summer League.
Right.
Because those teams are all playing hard and those guys are playing hard because they're all trying to make an NBA roster. So I think you're getting the best performance out of the players in those games.
I haven't been able to do that for a few years because I don't have much time to do it, but that's another terrific sport to bet on.
Yeah.
Because you got the second-year players, too, and they want to show what they can do because they got the new guys coming in and they might lose their jobs. So they want to perform, and they have more experience.
Yeah, I saw a guy this past year worth almost 12 points, and I could make an argument he might have been worth 20. Jaime Jaquez played for Miami, and the 2 games he played in, he completely dominated with a triple-double.
Wow.
and his teams won easily. And then the game he didn't play, they lost by 20.
Wow.
Wow.
It was a
That's
huge
yeah.
difference. And I
Yeah.
mean, he played against the better teams. They didn't play him against a weak team because they didn't need him and they lost.
Right. Wow.
One more
good.
question for you before we get out of here. But we were talking a lot about quarterbacks and looking at the NFL. Josh Allen's having a great year. Lamar Jackson, that was a really big win for them over the Steelers. Is there one team that you really like in the NFL this year so far?
He was 4-0 this weekend too, or on Saturday.
Ooh.
He was 4-0 at
Yeah, but Sunday wasn't
Favorite.
good at all. It was
Yeah.
bad. But,
Yeah, the
But-
two favorites on Saturday, Chiefs
both favorites
and Ravens.
both overs.
Yeah.
So did everybody out there too, though. But when you're a professional handicapper, that and better, to be on the favorite and over both games, and
Yeah.
it pays off. It feels good.
Yes. Well, especially with the trend with the Steelers and the Ravens, right?
I interrupted your
I
question.
made that
No.
game much higher, but I was worried, especially we know how those two play each other tough. But that was a good over. Got there. But because and do you look for you got to start with the quarterback position, right?
Right.
Before you're going to pick a team that's going to take them all the way to the Super Bowl.
Well, it's really tight. All the best teams have great quarterbacks, So, I off the top of my head, I don't really have any favorite to win anything.
No.
They're
No.
all close.
We'll see. I would like to see somebody besides the Chiefs. So that's kind of why I said the Bills and the
Well,
Ravens. Who can knock off the Chiefs to win the
Well,
AFC?
One thing you shouldn't do is root against somebody when you're betting sports.
Very good.
And other thing I can tell you is the reason the Chiefs win every week is because they got a terrific defense. So if you're going to go down to a game and it's going to be a close game, you're going to want that quarterback.
with a good defense.
So I would say
They
they
can
might
stop the
be
other side.
a little bit ahead of any other team.
and they have the confidence. They've been there
They
before,
have the
done that.
confidence. But they have the defense too.
They
Yeah.
do.
So Baltimore's a terrific team, and they have the defense, and they have the quarterback. So, it's Philadelphia's in the same category.
Yeah.
I don't think that defense is as good as it's rated, but it's still a terrific team. And now the quarterback got hurt.
Yeah.
But, Kansas City's going to be tough to beat. So that's all I can tell you.
That was great
Well, you got
advice. I
you
needed
got
to hear
Baltimore
that.
too, rated pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always knew Baltimore was good, but the quarterback can pass. Most people think he just was a runner.
Yeah.
But he actually has good accuracy and quick release.
And a strong arm.
We do have to.
Yeah. Well, everybody has to have that strong arm
Yeah.
or you're dead. Every time a quarterback loses his arm strength, he can't pass downfield. They know it. That's why the Atlanta quarterback. I didn't know that he lost his arm strength. And that's why they've been losing.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, they said he didn't throw a pass over 39 miles an hour.
They knew that.
Yeah.
The defenses are playing against them, so they cover that.
We do our whiteboard every day. I don't
All
have
right.
the record on there. I had a really good week. 2 weeks ago, last week wasn't as good. Hopefully this week will be better.
Good.
I'm going with Oregon State minus the 9.5. Washington over. They're playing Seattle 144, and then Hawaii, Nebraska playing to get in the championship game under 143.5.
Just need to double check. Oh, it is 6.5. Jeez. I'm going 1 under, 1 over for hockey
NHL.
today. Yes. And this is my red marker for Christmas. So we got Rangers and Devils under 6. And then Tampa Bay. Did I write Tampa Bay twice? Yes, I did. Tampa Bay and Florida.
At least you got 2 Florida teams.
Yes.
2 plays.
2 plays. I'm going to put Panthers.
And we'll be back tomorrow.
We will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m., same spot, and then we will not be here Wednesday, so make sure you tune in. We appreciate everyone in the chat. Dean Hilt, thank you for joining us, and everybody else. We'll see you again tomorrow, 9 a.m. Rest of the day, Punchlines at noon, and then Football Frenzy, Sports by the Book at 3 p.m. For Kenny White, for Pete White, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again tomorrow here on Sports by the Book.